Good evening. Verse number 72. So, impermanence and change. Just some more examples. This one is saying that even if you are born in a celestial realm, and have many things to enjoy, but that enjoyment will change. Having enjoyed being surrounded by heavenly goddesses and played in the delightfully beautiful garden, again in the realm of the garden of. So at one point you enjoy with them, another point you are born in the garden of sword-like leaves. Some of these sword-like leaves which is explained here is said to be found in India somewhere, right? One's arms, legs, ears and nose will be slashed, meaning that you see that tree with very sharp leaves, and you hear some of your close friends calling you, then you climb up, the leaves turn down and cut you. When you go down, leaves turn up, you won't believe many of these things. But everything is possible. There's nothing that's, the word impossible is found in the dictionary of fools, right? Next verse number 73. Then you may be enjoying in a very nice bathing pool that will also change. Having entered the gentle current with golden lotuses and beautiful heavenly goddesses, again in hell's river without ford, one must enter unbearably hot salty water. Salty water here means kind of water where you wash, all your skin will come out. Something like that. Next, even if you have achieved the state of that celestial or gods of three realms, there is no reliability. Having attained the extremely great joy of heaven and Brahma's bliss of non-attachment, again becoming kindling for the fire of no greater torture, one must endure unceasing suffering. So there's no need for us to spend a lot of time on these things, because we see so many unexpected changes in our life also. Your dear friends get departed because of misunderstanding or death. So many things happen. Then from the perspective of something that is very well known to worldly beings, he gives another example. Having attained the state of sun and moon, some of the celestial beings, they are called the son of the sun and son of the moon, meaning that they are like sun and moon. They themselves have a lot of light to emit forth, and illuminated the whole world with one's body. Again, in dense black darkness, one will be unable to see one's outstretched hand. You will not even see your hand outstretched. That's also possible.
Once you attain that state, then you go back.
You fall. When you achieve that state of the Son of God and the moon, you have so much light not only for yourself, but illuminating the whole body with one's light from one's body. But when you die and change the circumstances, you're born to pitch black darkness where you don't even see your hand. That's possible. Even this mobile phone, I remember once, normally we have a difficulty, we have a problem, then we say, "Where are you? I need your help," right? But then there was a very strong overpour of rain in Mumbai. I remember that many years back. So much water. The mobile, the connection did not work. There was no transport. People faced a lot of difficulties. So things change like that. You never know. So then, in this way, you need to go alone. You need to go alone without any help. This is the bitter truth, whether you like it or not. That means, when you die alone. When you're born alone. Beech mein kya hangama? Something like that. When you die alone. When you're born alone. And when you accumulate karma, you perform those karmas alone. And when you experience the fruit, you experience the fruit alone. So in this way, without any friend, in the true sense of the term. Because of such ruination, correct. Correct. What am I reading now? Yes. Yeah. Because of such ruination, take only the lamp of the three virtuous merits. One must enter endless darkness without the light of the sun or moon. Clear, right? So you need to go alone, as I mentioned already. Because of such ruination, take only the lamp of the three virtuous merits means it can be many things. Three virtuous merit means merit of the body, speech and mind, or the merit accumulated through giving, merit accumulated through practice of morality, and merit that accrued through meditation. Now, merit accrued through meditation means meditating on the rest of the perfections, right? But the accumulation of wisdom is not counted here. Okay, because we are primarily talking about collecting merit, not wisdom. Okay. Then he's talking about the sufferings of other sentient beings. For example, the sufferings of being in the hell realm. Beings who perform evil deeds will perpetually suffer in the hells of reviving. Hells of reviving. You die and you revive. You die and revive. Then black line. They will put a black line on your body, and on that line they use the knife or whatever to cut you into pieces. Okay? So then intense heat. There is one hell which is called extremely hot. Then crushing hell. You will be crushed between two mountains. Then screaming hell, and no greater torture. So there are 8 hot hells and 8 cold hells, plus many neighboring hells. Okay, some of this may you not like to listen. You might think this is not true, but even in this world, if you look at some of the people who are experiencing problems, say in South Africa, right, or people who die unexpectedly through 2 cars, it's like almost like crashing hell, right? Something like that. If you think carefully, many of these things are there. The result of your karma means maybe past karma, not necessarily past karma. In this very life also, you don't plan properly, you don't drive properly. That is karma, right? You drive heedlessly, road rash. How many people die through road rash? Karma, that's your karma. So don't just think, karma, something you accumulated long in the distant past and now maturing the fruit, not like that. And how these beings in the hell realm they suffer. For example, in the beings in the crushing hell, they say, some are pressed like sesame seed. Others are ground to dust like fine flour. This is happening in our world also during the Nazi concentration camp. Even now. Yes, exactly. And then if you are born in the black line hell, some are cut by saws based on that black line that is drawn, and others are split by unbearably sharp bladed axes. And then next is the howling hell. Likewise, others are incinerated by flaming liquid of a molten iron. Flaming liquid of molten iron comes out. For example, if somebody suffers from cancer, you experience all those unthinkable pains, right? So all this is possible. If something goes wrong with our body, then if some nerves go wrong, then for the rest of life you have to do like this. Right? So depending upon the causes that you accumulate, we suffer in many forms. Then in the howling hell, some are completely impaled by flaming, barbed iron spears. Then this is likewise others are incinerated by flaming liquid of molten iron. This is regarding the howling hell. Next is extremely hot hell. Some are completely impaled by the flaming barbed iron spears. And in those realms of hell, there can be many other aspects of suffering. Some, ripped by fierce dogs with iron fangs, wave their arms to the sky because of pain. Others are helplessly pecked by ravens with sharp iron beaks and unbearable claws. Then, similarly, yeah, 81. Some writhe, screaming, and are eaten by various worms and beetles and tens of thousands of black flesh flies, the touch of which cause unbearable. So all these kind of things are actually happening in our world itself. So many different things. We don't pay much attention. And then next one says, you might be thinking that these so-called sufferings of hells are a distant thing. It will not happen to me. It will not occur to me. Then it says, such evildoers have a 83. Yeah, some evildoers have a diamond-heart nature, thinking that this will not happen to me. These are just stories. But the reality is, being kept from the hells only until the breath ceasing, they are not frightened in 1,000 ways after hearing the hell's immeasurable suffering. That means the so-called hells, the distance from you and the so-called hells is just this breath, as we discussed yesterday. When you die, you may be born in one of these. You may be tomorrow. This is what he's saying. Huh? Yeah. Happy weekend, yeah. But then why we are talking so much about suffering? Because without understanding suffering, there will be no wish to get liberated from it. But this does not mean, say, you don't have any good things done. With this good thing, you will be born like this, you will be born in heaven. All those things are also there. When in the Buddhist psychology, when we talk about the different types of mind, we also primarily talk about negative minds. Because it is this which you need to be very careful, alert, and get rid of them. It doesn't mean that you are hopeless, you'll all go to hell, that is not the meaning. Okay, then 84. So what he's saying is that these sufferings in the hell are really, really intense. If even seeing drawings on statues, recalling, reading or hearing of the hells engenders fear, what need to speak of experiencing this dreadful maturation? So even if you see the drawings, you feel threatened. So imagine if you're actually born there. And then identifying some of the really, really big sufferings in the hell. Just as the extinction of craving is supreme happiness, so too is the suffering of Avicii hell, hell without respite, the most horrible of all sufferings. So just as he says extinction of craving is supreme happiness, so he's talking about happiness also. If you remove happiness, it removes craving, there will be happiness. Similarly, if you engage in negative deeds, you will not only be born in the hell, but you will be born in the hell which is called hell without respite. Hell without respite, the most horrible of all sufferings. Even in terms of small sufferings in the hell, the sufferings that we experience here in the world cannot match it. That's what he's saying in the next world. The sufferings here of being jabbed for a single day by 300 spears at full forces does not approach or equal even the least portion of the smallest suffering in the hells. Time is said to be very, very long. Right? Why? Time is said to be very long? Because time is long. And even otherwise, when you are unhappy, when you are suffering, the same time seems not going. When you are happy, the same duration just goes quickly like that. Right? These days, most of us have no idea. We are all saying, I have no sense of time now, which means you are doing okay. You are happy. Right? When you are not happy, then the time really like drags. If you keep on looking at the clock, it looks like it's not moving at all. It is moving, but it is like that. Okay? And then, as I mentioned, the duration is also very long. Even though such very unbearable suffering is experienced for 1 billion years, one will never be freed from that life, as long as the non-virtue is not exhausted. So here the key thing that you need to remember is this all seems to be true or not true? So that has to be decided by thinking about the possibilities of continuity of human mind for many lives to come. Right? Then if there is a possibility of the mind continuing for many, many lives to come, there is hope, because you can, if you work hard and undertake all these spiritual practices, you will become better and better. There is hope. Contrarily, if you continue to do all the negative deeds, then all this hell without respite and all those things will be there ready for you. So it's all related to the possibilities of human mind. So therefore, in Tibetan Buddhism, there is so much talk about mind training, mindfulness, meditation. Very, very crucial for us to think about it, especially in today's world when everybody is thinking about the external world. What will be the impact of artificial intelligence? What will be the impact of ChatGPT? What will be the impact of what? So many other things are there. And we are completely now, slowly, we are completely forgetting ourselves. And it is because of not being true to yourself, it is because you are not able to enjoy the simple pleasures which people used to enjoy in ancient times. Because of this, now so many people are suffering from depression, loneliness, because there is really not much sense of responsibility and love and care, And many people seems like they have no time. We live in what we call as hi-bye culture. Hi, bye, finish. You have no time to talk to each other. Hi-bye culture, we call it. Right? In ancient times, we produced so many great seers in all religious traditions because people had time to reflect within and find the solution. And the solution they found, which is so important even today now. Right? So I think it's really, really important go within oneself as much as possible and find these inner treasures. Because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, you have to go alone. It's 100% sure. None of your friends, relatives, even your teachers, even Buddha will not come and save you if you don't save yourself. They can guide you. And that is why we don't believe in a creator God in Buddhism. You are the creator, kind of. If this world has to be good, we have to work. Not just praying and expecting changes will take place. Really, honestly speaking. And then the so-called religious practice also, we don't do it essentially. We just do the hypocritical practices. Early in the morning, beat that bell, play that bell, and throw some flowers, do just, and then rest of the day, cheating, exploitation, corruption, bullying, right? And because of that, you personally don't experience that settledness of the mind. Country also don't make progress, right? It is like that. So therefore, before we talk about nirvana liberation, we have to come up with a system where there is morality, ethics, which primarily means sense of concern for others' well-being. And if those things are there, I can watch for you. The country will progress like anything. If that is not there, we see everywhere now, we see. You keep on bragging that my country is best, we are the most intelligent, things like that. But then millions are there without having proper food, without sanitation, without health, right? So only few rich people will become richer and richer, poor people become poorer and poorer. And the poor people are not only poor, but their lands are confiscated, sold for a few 100,000 rupees. It is happening everywhere in the world. The only place where they can at least bask in the sun and chit-chat, which is quite good for them. So that also is not there. If it is an aristocratic government, the lands will be taken away by the government. And otherwise the so-called business people will lure you with a certain amount of money, and then you are completely dislocated. It's happening everywhere. It's very shameful, really. Because you can't say your country is making progress when the majority of them are suffering in poverty. Right? So that's why I have been always, in all my talks, whether it's useful or not, I've been constantly telling my Indian brothers and sisters, and others also, especially India, I have been telling them that India should show its greatness in its soft power, not hard power. As I mentioned, hard power, the military might, power of ballistic missile, machine gun, all those things are unfortunately needed because you are surrounded by crooked neighbors who have no sense of ethics, no sense of love, only for looking for land and things like that. So, defend yourself, you need to have this. If you don't have this, then it's like Tibet. It's like Tibet. Tibetans were just like, called it's a Buddhist country. We are supposed to be doing some spiritual practice. But to be honest, spiritual practice also not in the true sense of the term. We were kind of lost. Oh, this deity, Buddha will protect us. This deity, that Dakini, that Dhaka, they will protect us. Then making incense offerings, and then going around the temple, doing nothing, hardly anything for the development of the country, for health, for sanitation, for defending one's country. That was not there. China easily came. When they came with all these modern weapons, Tibetans did not have even a sword like a chopper, So that is a result of not religion, a result of misunderstanding and not practicing the essence of Buddha's teaching. Now, on the other hand, people like His Holiness Dalai Lama, he understands the meaning of teaching. Therefore, even in exile, he is able to look after the Central Tibetan administration. Now the US government has recently started saying that instead of Central Tibetan administration, we will call it Tibetan government. This is the latest development. Right? So whatever it is, we are able to come with this, not just because of Tibetans, but with the help of the host country, India, and many others. And then primarily, His Holiness Dalai Lama. We were able to come up with very good system of education. Now the literacy among the Tibetan people is around 85 or something, very high literacy, right? So similarly health, everything, doing quite well, because there is ethics. And in a challenging note, I've been telling my friends around, the small Tibetan, central Tibetan administration government is perhaps the only government which is corruption free. Now His Holiness is no more actively working for the government, but the elected Sichong or the President or Prime Minister also following his footsteps. So that's why we are doing well. Not because we have a lot of money. We have to beg for, please help me, please help. We have to ask different countries to help us. But because we are ethically doing well, there is this progress. Right? So these discourses are not just talk about future life, past life, hell and things like that. But the reason is, unless you be ethical, you will suffer here or in the hell, wherever. Somewhere you will suffer. There is no escape from that. I think that is what this text is saying, right? Then verse 87, even though such unbearable suffering is experienced, okay, I read this already. Now verse 88, now verse 88 is instructing, since there is so much suffering like this, therefore it is important to eliminate the causes for these sufferings right now. Not only for the health, but in your present life also, all those causes and conditions which will harm your physical health, harm your mental health, create more suffering. It is better that you stop this. That's what he's saying, if I simplify it. If you're somebody who is very fond of drinking and you're losing all your money in drinking or in gambling, he's saying, look, this is what has happened to you. Better you stop it. Better you stop it. That's what he's saying. Because we, in the society, we do have people who really work very hard like a donkey, and then the hard-earned money is misused for drinking, gambling, things like that. In many countries, including America and many European countries, psychotherapy is a booming business. Psychotherapy is a booming business because people don't take care of their health, especially the health of the mind. They work like a donkey, and then because of their mind is not settled, they are tired, they are depressed. Then they have to take all those hard-earned money and give it to the psychotherapist. I spent few weeks with a psychotherapist in America and had some discussion with some of the leading psychotherapists also, so I have some idea about those, right? So therefore, if you take good care of your health, physical and mental health, even if you don't work very hard, you will have enough money to look after yourself, right? So therefore, in short, he is saying that be careful. If you don't want to suffer, then don't do those things which will bring suffering. Warning. The seeds of the fruits of non-virtue are wrongdoing of body, speech and mind. These are the causes. Exert every strength to prevent by every means even the smallest occurrences. So when it comes to doing negative things, don't say this is very small, it will not harm me. Poison, even if you take small part of poison, it will harm you. It's like that. When it comes to doing good things, don't say this is just small thing, it will not make difference. I already met people who say, I do very small things. Even if you do very small thing, that's the step in the right direction. Do it. Very important. Recently I was reading regarding the difference between empathy and compassion. These days there is so much talk about empathy, and then there is this talk about empathy burnout, empathy fatigue, and at the same time they also use the word compassion fatigue, about which I was wondering. Then recently a scientifically tested book on compassion, Compassionomics it is called. Very beautiful book, very beautiful book. So that book clearly says, if your compassion is not just empathy but genuine compassion, there will be no compassion burnout. Empathy, yes, there will be empathy burnout. Because empathy means, as we say, walking in other people's shoes. That is the example. So empathy means feeling others' pain. You see the pain of your friend, and then you also really feel very concerned, feel that pain, sit there crying, don't know what to do, you know. So that there will be burnout. Compassion means how nice, not only saying how nice if I'm able to remove their suffering, but you get up, go and do things for others, even if it's a small thing. When you do this small thing, then you feel, get a sense of satisfaction. Yes, I played my part. So then you will not get burnout. You will get inspired, satisfaction. That's the difference. Very important difference. Because earlier, before reading the book, I was wondering why many of these mothers who work so hard looking after the children don't experience empathy or compassion burnout, whereas many of these doctors and nurses are experiencing burnout. I was wondering about that, questioning that. And then according to my own conclusion, I thought that maybe it's really lack of genuine compassion. Because these medical doctors, nurses, they are professionally very well trained. So because they are very well trained in the first few days or months, they really work very hard, not able to take care of their own health, and they work very hard. Then gradually they meet all these difficult, sick people. They themselves don't take much rest. Then they get empathy burnout, right? And whereas look at the mothers, most of which may be illiterate, but hardly you see mothers, maybe few, but hardly burn out, because there's genuine compassion to the child. Mother feels happy, even when the child is angry or crying. Still, the mother sees the child beautiful, handsome, and hugs the child, and it's totally different, right? Okay. Then next he explains about the sufferings of animals. Sufferings of animals. Some die for the sake of pearls, die means people kill them for pearls. Some of these animals, they die for the sake of pearls or wool or bones, flesh or skin. See, so human beings are really, horrible in a sense. We think everything is for our enjoyment and sport. Even if you are not eating some of them, then like rabbit hunting, bullfighting, even fighting of the cocks, just for sport. We torture them. So some die for the sake of pearls or wool or bones or flesh or skin. Others, helpless, are exploited, with steel beneath their hooves and paws, with steel beneath their hooves, just like horses, We put the steels under the hooves and paws, and then whip them and hook them like elephant, to control elephant, you hook them and prods. Right? Oh, I forgot reading verse 89. Right? The dreadful existence of animal has multiple sufferings of being killed, bound, beaten, and eating each other for those who have abandoned virtue, which brings peace. I think there is a wrong numbering here in the Tibetan. They have given a wrong number. Okay. Then suffering of hungry ghost. Among the pretas, which means hungry ghost, there is constant suffering caused by desire. They undergo unbearable misery of fear, anguish, hunger, thirst, cold, and heat. Some with needle eye mouths. They are very hungry, but their mouth is really like needle eye, very small. And stomachs the size of mountains. are tortured by hunger but unable to eat. Even the smallest quantity of unable to eat even the smallest quantity of discarded filth. Not only in the hungry hill, the hungry ghost, but in Tibet I heard stories of Tibetans who suffered so much in the Chinese prison. You know, I was told this story by one of His Holiness's personal physician, who was able to escape from Tibet after remaining in Chinese prison for over nearly 20 years. He said, when you are starved and not given food for many, many days, even if you see some of the worms in the excretion, people are compelled to eat them. Many, many stories like that. And again, when you become sick and have cancer, if you eat something, then your stomach almost, feel like burning. You can't eat. Maybe an example also. Okay. Some are naked, a mere skin and bones. I was telling you the story of people suffering in Africa. I've seen some of them hardly have any flesh on their body, just skin. Not in the hungry hell, but in the human realm itself, we have such cases. Some are naked, a mere skin and bones, like the dried top of a pan tree. I mean, even otherwise, like for example, now New Delhi, for example, we say, in summer we say New Delhi is very hot. So the maximum temperature is what? 46, 7 maximum. But I've seen some place in Africa, 56, 7. Still they are living their way. Who tortured them to stay there? Karma. And you don't die so easily. You have to suffer. I recently watched one documentary from that place. They hardly have any kind of house, but they're there. So this group who have needle eye mouth and stomachs like the size of a mountain, this hungry ghost is called hungry ghost is with internal obstruction. Internal obstruction. Then there is another kind of category, like as the verse 93 says, these are called hungry ghosts with the obstruction for food and drink. Some are naked, mere skin and bones, like the dried top of a palm tree. Others have mouths which blaze at night. For food they eat sand which falls into their mouths, and then sand is very hot sand which burns them. Then hungry ghost is with external obstructions. Several lowly classes of hungry ghost cannot find even such filth as pus, excrement, blood, or the like. They attach one another, eating pus from festered goiters growing in the throat. We have places where, very poor remote places where they have nothing much to eat, and certain part of the time they eat grass. There are countries, remote areas. I have seen that in the newspaper. Then the suffering of heat and cold. In summer, even the moon feels hot to them. And in winter, the sun feels cold. At a mere glance, trees become fruitless and rivers run dry. For example, from a distance, they see trees with a lot of fruits, but when they look at it, disappear. In summer, even the moon feels hot to them. In our case also, when we get certain physical illnesses, sometimes even if the weather is very hot, we feel very cold. Not before death. Even here, we do have those experiences. And I have personally experienced that. Sometimes without any reason, you feel your feet are very cold. You see, even in summer, your feet is cold. Like that. Then it talks about its suffering and the length of time for which they suffer. Experiencing unhindered suffering and tightly bound by the karmic fetters of misdeeds, some do not die for 5 or even 10,000 years. 10,000 years is their year. If we convert it to our year, it may be millions. Right? So in this way, if by doing misdeeds, if you're born into hell or animals or hungry ghost, if you wonder what are the causes for such birth in this kind of realms of hell and animals and hungry ghost. 97. The cause of each single test of hungry ghost, multitude of sufferings, is beings' delight in stinginess. The Buddha declared miserliness to be ignoble. The causes for hungriness is, in this life, you are very stingy. You should, if you have more than what you need, especially, you should learn to part it and give it to others. There are many others who don't have what you are keeping as an extra, and if you give that, they will be very, very happy. Don't be tight-fisted. Open it. This is what he's saying. Greater than celestial beings' pleasures. Now he is talking about the sufferings in the celestial realm, the realm of God. Greater than celestial being pleasures. They have a lot of, in the celestial realm, they have a lot of pleasures, but greater than that is the suffering when they are dying. Having considered that, the righteous do not crave for transitory celestial realms. Forget about your fleeting pleasures in this world. If you're really somebody who is thinking for the long-term happiness, you should not be attracted to the pleasures of even in the heavenly realms. They are also impermanent, not reliable. Right? And then he goes on explaining some of the sufferings in the celestial realm. The body's complexion turns unattractive. In the beginning, they are said to be all the male and female celestial beings said to be more than the Hollywood, Bollywood actresses. They all like attractive, physically attractive, beautiful, handsome, but it changes into unattractive. And they feel dislike. So when they are about to die, then they become unattractive. They feel dislike for their seeds. And it is said they always wear flower garlands. The flower garlands will dry, wilt. Clothing assumes an odor. Normally their clothes have beautiful fragrance. Then suddenly it starts collecting bad smell. And the body is soiled as never before. Then they feel very, very unhappy. Okay, now read quickly. There are 5 premonitory signs for the celestial beings when they are about to die. Attending death in the celestial realms, they arise for gods in a manner similar to the signs of death attending humans on earth who are about to die. Just as we experience a lot of suffering when we are about to die, similarly, not only they suffer, but they suffer more when they get these premonitions for their death. One suffering is the suffering that they will now fall from this amazing state to the lower realm. After passing away from the celestial realms, if there is no remaining virtue, one will helplessly enter the state of an animal, hungry ghost, or hell being. Then the suffering of demigods. Demigods are actually celestial beings, gods, but it is said that their behavior is so bad, then they are nicknamed by saying, "You are not God." So we call it demigod. In the human realm also, if human being is not doing good, then we say, "Ye admi nahi hai." It's not a human being. So something like that, demigods. Semi-gods also have great mental suffering through their natural hostility to the god's glory. So they are very jealous of the better part of the gods. They have a lot of glory. So because of their jealous, they fight with them and they always lose. Though intelligent, they cannot see the truth due to the obscuration of their state of being. Right? So in short, birth as a god or human, animal, hungry ghost, or hell being is not noble. If you are born into this, it is not a good thing. Birth should be known as a vessel with many harms, because if you are born in those states, you are subject to many types of sufferings. So therefore now he is asking that you should now meditate on the path to liberation. And you should work very hard. That is what he is saying. Even if one's head or clothing suddenly catches fire, forego extinguishing it, rather exert oneself in putting an end to rebirth. No aim is more excellent than this. So therefore he is saying that when it comes to spiritual practice, don't postpone it. Even if your head is on fire, before extinguishing that fire, you do your practice. It's very urgent, that is what saying. So don't make friendship with tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. No. Death will never make appointment. When we are alive, we are very good in making appointment. Can I see you 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock? I had few appointments today, consultation, But when the death does not come with appointment, it can come any time. Healthy or not healthy, nobody can say. Right? So therefore, practicing even if your head is on fire means take it seriously. Even if one's head or clothing suddenly catches fire, forego extinguish it. Before that, rather exert oneself in putting an end to rebirth. No aim is more excellent than this. Now what is the path? Path is through morality, wisdom and meditation one must achieve liberation, the immaculate state of peace and power, ageless. When you achieve liberation, you will not become old. Deathless, eternal, free of earth, water, fire, air, sun and moon. That means when we talk about Buddhist liberation, it is a state of mind, a mind which has removed all the negative emotions. It is not a place, heavenly place, earthly place where you go, or in a water where you go, because there are other philosophical traditions, religious traditions. They say that nirvana, the so-called liberation, is a beautiful place, heavenly place, physical place where you go. In Buddhism, no. Heaven is the state of your mind. When you have removed all the negative emotions, that is nirvana, liberation. It's not a beautiful picnicking spot. So that's what he's saying. Free of earth. He's not talking about earthly place or place of water, fire, air, sun and moon. Right? There are many religious traditions who take refuge in earth, water, fire, air, sun and moon. Right? Because we are scared of these natural elements and we helplessly take refuge in them. Then, asking you to meditate on the path of meditation. Uh, so the next verse is talking about practicing the 7 branch practices for enlightenment. 7 branch practices for enlightenment. Recollection, the discernment of dharmas, effort, joy, extreme agility, meditation, and equanimity. These 7 are the limbs of enlightenment, the collection of virtue bringing about the attainment of nirvana. Recollection, mindfulness, and then the discernment of dharma means wisdom, understanding shunyata, then effort, making effort, perseverance, joy, extreme agility means through physical and mental training you achieve that agility of the mind and body. Right now if you do a little bit of meditation, then you get back pain and knee pain, your mind is not also working, but gradually when you get used to that, then a special blissful energy flows through your mind so that you don't get tired, physically, mentally also. That's the meaning of agility. Sometimes we use the English word pliancy, mental and physical pliancy, suppleness, mental and physical suppleness. Okay? Then then he is saying, out of these 7 limb practices to enlighten, 7 limb to enlightenment, your main practice should be development of wisdom and one-pointed meditation. That's what he's saying. There is no samadhi, which means there is no one-pointed meditation without wisdom, and there is no wisdom without samadhi. Those who have both should view the ocean of existence as the size of an ox's hoof print. That means if you do combined practice of one-pointed meditation and wisdom, then even this samsara, which really looks like a big ocean, difficult to drive, difficult to put an end, will become like the size of an ox's footprint. That means in the footprint of an ox there may be little water which you can dry up very easily. So the whole samsaric ocean will become like the amount of water that can be held by ox's footprint. If you have this one-pointed meditation wisdom together, right? Together. In the beginning when you are practicing, then first you develop one-pointed meditation and then later analytical meditation. But then after having developed, then both of these should help enforce each other. Like for example, when you have developed one-pointed meditation, so one-pointed meditation means pulling your all mental energies together. Pulling all your energies together, right? So having done that, then you can concentrate on the chosen object very well, and you can use that same mind for analyzing the truth. What you should be doing, what you should not be doing, what is good for you, what is good for others, what means impermanence, what means emptiness. In all these areas, just like a scientist, you should then analyze things for yourself, which is even more important than the one-pointed meditation. So meditation is not just sitting in a corner and closing your eye. Meditation means making your mind habituated with the positive ways of life. Getting habituated. Meditation means doing again and again. Doing again and again what? Negative things we don't have to do again and again because we have done it very well. So obviously it's talking about getting your mind habituated with these positive things again and again. That's analytical meditation. Then one should not contemplate what the kinsman means the Buddha, kinsman of the sun, declared to be the 12, sometimes we say 14. So it is actually not 12, 14. Please correct it. one should not contemplate what the kinsmen of the sun declared to be the 14 unexpounded views, for the mind will not be pacified through them. So that means there are 14 points about which Buddha did not teach. The 14 points. 14 points means whether there is an end to the self, or not end to the self, both having end, not having end. Right? Similarly, with the world, is there an end, is there beginning? Neither or both. Right? And whether the self and the world are permanent, not permanent, both or neither. And then after the death of the Buddha, he will come back again or not. Right? And then the self and the life force, they are one or different. So these are called 14 unspecified topics. So don't waste your time on that. One should not control. That is what I'm saying. This is important because many of you ask the question that I'm not able to control my mind. I'm unable to stop my thought, That's what Buddha is saying. You should not think about many useless things. And in fact, there's a story. At the time of the Buddha, there was a monk by the name Malukya. He had received some teachings from the Buddha, but because he did not got an explanation on these 14 specified topics, whether there is a beginning or end, things like that. So he was not very happy. So he decided that I will go and ask the Buddha about these things. If the Buddha gives an answer, then I will continue to follow him. If he does not give an answer, then I may look for some other teachers. So with this mind, he got up from his small hut and goes straight to the Buddha and says the same thing. Then the Buddha said, first of all, I am not looking for a student. If you want to go anywhere, go anywhere. And then secondly, as an answer to this, he said, look, so this is what we call as the famous paradox of the arrows, the arrow paradox. So there he said, for example, if somebody shoots you by an arrow from a distance, unknown distance, and hit you, and you are bleeding, what will you do? Will you immediately take the arrow out and take medication? Or ask all the philosophical questions? From where the arrow came from? What was the speed of the arrow on the road? By what material the arrow and the bow is made of? And the person who shot the arrow, how strong his arms? Whether he is a moustache or not? You can ask 100,000 questions even in this small context. And the Buddha said, if you refuse to take that immediate medication and ask all these philosophical questions, long before you get answers, you will be a dead person. So that's why I'm not interested about whether the universe is a beginning or end. I'm interested in solving the present problems, human problems. So that's what he's talking about, this unspecified. Should not contemplate on this 14. The Muni declared that from now, this is very important. You can later on reflect. Now we have not much time. But now this is talking about meditation on the 12 links of dependent origination. Okay? The Muni, Buddha, declared that from ignorance, so we are concerned about how to remove suffering. Suffering arises from ignorance. From ignorance arises our action, and that action leaves an imprint on the consciousness, and from that you are born with the body and the feeling and so forth, name and form. Form is physical form, name means feeling, recognition, the other four aggregates. From that arises, then gradually when your body, the physical and mental form develops, then 6 sense faculties develop. A child is in the womb of the mother for 9 months, So similarly from that embryonic state, then gradually things develop. So there is a particular text by the Buddha which is called Entering the Womb Sutra. Amazing, those things are explained long before any technological understanding. So now if we compile this and the modern explanation of birth goes very well together. And then 6 senses, faculties, and from that then contact, and then from contact arises feeling. Based on feeling of pain and pleasure and so forth, especially if it is pleasurable feeling, you develop craving, and that craving becomes stronger. From craving arises grasping, and then from that, the imprint that is left on the consciousness, that becomes really strong, ready to give for the next rebirth, which is called existence. And from existence then comes birth. Where there is a birth, see, so beautifully presented. Where there is a birth, there arises grief. How to solve grief? Many people ask this question. Pain and grief, sickness will be there, aging will be there, destitution will be there, fear of death will be there, and so on. A huge mass of suffering. All this will cease by putting an end to birth. And the cause of birth is primarily many negative emotions, but primarily ignorance and negative karma. So therefore, here in this context, you should really reflect on the cause-effect relationship, the interdependent origination. This interdependent origination is the most profound and cherished treasure of the Buddha's speech. Whoever is able to see this perfectly sees the Buddha. One who sees, the interdependent origination sees the Dharma. One who sees the Dharma sees the Buddha, the supreme knower of reality. Who is Buddha? He is the supreme knower of the reality. And the path leading to such state of liberation is the Eightfold Noble Path, which includes the Four Noble Truth also. Right? So verse 113 says, right view, right livelihood, right effort, right mental collection, meditation, speech, activity, and right thought are the 8 limbs of the path. Meditate on them in order to attain peace. So as I mentioned earlier, Buddha did not give his teaching right away when he was requested repeatedly. Then when we first give the teaching, then the first teaching that he gave us on the 8 limbs to enlightenment and the Four Noble Truth. Okay. So this Eighth Noble Fold Path is the method to practice on the Four Truth. This is explained in this next verse, verse 114. Birth is said to be suffering and craving, and the source of their origin is vast. Cessation of birth is liberation and path. Attaining this is the Eightfold Noble Path. That being so, strive always. So he's saying, it's really important that you work hard to understand the Eightfold Path, 7 limbs to enlightenment, and the Four Noble Truth. That being so, strive always to see the Four Noble Truths. Through knowledge, even householders in those left rest greatly worldly riches can cross the river of the mental affliction. This is said because some people ask the question, this is important to meditate on the dependent origination, Eightfold Path. But we are ordinary lay householders. We have wife and children and husband and others to look after. We can't meditate. It looks very important, but we can't meditate. Many people think like that. So as a response to this, he is saying, this being so, strive always to see the Four Noble Truths. So don't say you will not be able to practice, because in the past also many great teachers, through knowledge, even householders, in whose laps rest great worldly teachers. That means in whose laps there may be a child, there may be treasures to look after, but there are many great kings, ministers and others who achieved nirvana by striving hard, like the king Endabudi, and so forth. So it's possible. So therefore it's important to understand this, because many people ask, probably it is the monks who will achieve liberation or something like that. It's not possible for the lay people, no. Monks also, if they don't practice, they will not get it. householders, if they practice it, they'll get it. In some cases, some of the householders, they really see the life. So they get really like strong impetus to do practice. One of the foremost students of Milarepa, Gamboba, he married young. I mentioned this right at the beginning. He married young and had a beautiful wife and 2 beautiful children, but they all died young. And he was so overpowered by grief, and he clearly saw the meaninglessness of pursuing the worldly pleasures. And then he dedicated his whole life to Dharma practice, and he became one of the top students of the famous Yogi Milarepa. And the text is that he has written, and I received this beautiful text that he's written called the Precious Garland of the Supreme Path. I received, it's a short text, very short text. I received this teaching from His Holiness many times, and so these days now I'm teaching that. So maybe next time we'll study that. And the good thing with that teaching is, it is really like numerical. 10 things that you should do, 10 things you should not do, like that, It's really beautiful. I've started teaching this online since some time back. It's still continuing. It's very beautiful, very beautiful. And then at the end of the text, Gamboba says, those of you who read this text and contemplate, think about it, it's really like you're having met me personally. Even if you meet me personally, there's nothing more than what I can teach. So inspired by this text, I quickly gone through his, works, collections. I found, I think, 4 or 5 volumes, out of which I made a selection, primarily some of the public talks that he had given, and compiled it in a book and published it in the library. So those of you who are interested, you can read those also. Right? And the reason he is saying that even the householder can practice it is he is saying that further, those who gained realization of Dharma, even while they are a lay person, they have gained, many of these people gained realization of Dharma. And their realization did not fall from the sky or grew from the ground like sprouts. They were able to develop this realization through their own practice. They were previously just ordinary person like you and me, subject to the mental affliction. So the greatest incentive and encouragement that we receive from Buddhist teaching is Buddha himself was ordinary person. He was not enlightened right from the beginning, right? So, and Milarepa and many others. And then therefore he is now summarizing all his teachings that he has given, written in this text, and now he is summarizing it to the king, and he says, fearless one, what need to preach much? Then now this is so beautiful. He says, fearless one, what need to preach much? If I talk about, there are so many things to talk about, and you may be wondering what is the essence. Many people ask me this question. Geshe-la, you've covered so many topics. How should I practice? So he's saying this. Subdue your mind. There is a verse from Sutra which says, do not do anything that is negative. Do very well all the positive things. Completely subdue or train your mind. This is my teaching. Now, subdue your mind is not easy. Subdue your mind means get rid of negative emotions from your mind, accumulate the positive emotions. This is my teaching. Many people ask this question, what kind of meditation I should do, what kind of yoga I should do, what kind of mindfulness I should do. I normally, if there's not much time, I always tell them, the one thing that you need to do is get rid of these negative emotions. The so-called 84,000 hymns of teaching that the Buddha gave are all targeted to removing the negative emotions, nothing else. Meditation, mindfulness, compassion, whatever you're going to talk about, it's targeted to reducing your negative emotions. If that is happening, then your practice is going somewhere in a different direction. After listening to the teaching so many times, but your anger remains same. Of course, I can't expect you, push button enlightenment. Of course, no one expects you to change overnight. But after a while, people should be able to see the result. Oh, this lady, this young man or gentleman has been receiving Buddhist teachings and reading Buddhist books. Now I really can see this person has become much, much more peaceful and calm. That should be there. Otherwise, there is no fun, not only reading these texts, but even if you enter into tantric practice and imagine yourself becoming a yellow deity, green tara, whatever. These are all like feel-good practices. So there should be transformation. You should be happier than before. You should do less grumbling than before. You should do less complaining than before. You should highlight and appreciate the positive things and make your small contribution here and there. That should be visible. So fearless one, what need to preach much? Subdue your mind. This is the most useful and essential instruction. The Bhagavan, the Buddha said, mind is the root of Dharma. So therefore, if you think, as I mentioned earlier, that these are very extensive teachings, I cannot practice. So next verse also says, to accomplish all this teaching that I have given you would be difficult to be practiced even by a monk who is dedicating all his life to practice. But make your life meaningful by developing the good qualities of these instructions. So that means make your life meaningful by developing the good qualities, means out of these many teachings, take some of the good qualities and make it part of your life. Okay? Otherwise it sounds like contradicting, difficult for a monk, then you should practice all. He's not saying that. What he's saying is developing some of the good qualities. For example, in the other text called Precious Garland, again Nagarjuna says the same thing to the king. He said, for example, you are king. You will not be able to do every practice, but because you are a king, you are rich, you have the power, if you practice generosity, distribute wealth to all the poor people, then that is a big practice, and also alleviating the suffering of many people. But in our case, we are not able to do even a single one, even a small one. That is the problem. Then he is talking about the special Mahayana path and the fruit. Rejoice at the virtue of all beings and dedicate our own threefold good deeds, right, to the attainment of Buddhahood. Then with this heap of virtue, becoming a master of yogas in all the worlds of gods and humans, for an immeasurable number of births, not only for this life, through this good practice you should be born again and again with these qualities, and protect many helpless beings. This is a very touching word. Many helpless beings. If you look carefully, so many people are really, really lost, confounded, short of wealth, short of things, so many problems. Helpless, helpless beings. Helpless. With activities like those of Arya Avalokiteshvara. Even in the case of Arya Avalokiteshvara, he was a very compassionate person, compassionate, enlightened bodhisattva. Even in his case, he had encountered problem. Therefore, you see this Avalokiteshvara with the 9 heads. Right? 9 heads. 11 heads. 11 heads. The story is that he took a promise to deliver all sentient beings from suffering, and actually goes and helps all those. Next time he sees more. He helps them, next time he sees more. Then he said, I give up. Impossible to help all these sentient beings. And because he broke this big promise, it is said that his head split into 11 parts. Then Buddha Amitabha, he said, my son, don't get discouraged. I will always be with you. And then he put this 11 head split parts into one, and on top of that there is also his Amitabha's Buddha's image. So that is the story. So it is possible you get discouraged. Having taken birth, dispel sickness, aging, desire and hatred, then you will born in a Buddha field, and when you become born in the Buddha field, when you become Buddha, then you become the guardian of the world. You can save everybody, you can help everybody. Right? This is the reason that you should become Buddha. Because you cannot alleviate the sufferings of people by distributing money. People are suffering, not just shortage of money and other things. People are suffering because they don't know what to do, because of ignorance. So education, simply said, education, proper education. Education, as I repeatedly say, education is not literacy. Education is not reading, writing, mathematics. Education is human flourishing. Human flourishing. So that flourishing will come if you have wisdom and compassion together. So therefore, it's important that you become enlightened. And with a lifespan of infinite, when you become Buddha, you have a infinite life length, as is the case of Lord Amitabha. So Avalokiteshvara and Amitabha both are explained here. Having achieved the stage of victory, that is the stage of Buddha, which pacifies humans and the celestial youths, delighting in sense pleasures. Now, in the case of ordinary human realms and celestial youths, they are obsessed with sensual pleasures. So all this has been pacified and destroyed when you become Buddha, and extinguishes fear, birth and death for multitudes of helpless, afflicted beings. Spread the fame of immaculate wisdom, morality and generosity throughout the celestial realms, space and upon the earth. Finally attain the transcendent state of name only. State of name only means Buddha is also just a name. There is no Buddha having inherent existence. And a peaceful state, fearless state. All the fears arise because of not knowing the reality. Undefiled, there is no presence of negative emotion. And perfect, having all the positive qualities. So he is saying that it is through this way, you king, make your life meaningful. So in this way he is also saying to all of us, through these practices, make your life meaningful. All right, I just galloped and finished, so still we have 10 minutes for question.
Thank you, sir. Just one question. We were talking about the road rage while you were giving the teaching. How do we see a person, supposing who is standing on a footpath, and that person gets hurt or killed, dies because of somebody else's mistake, a road rage. So, how was that person who got hurt? How is his karma there bad or so that person got hurt, the other person did not get hurt?
It is, we always say karma, but it is not just karma. We use two terms, karma and condition.
Okay.
One is karma, one is because of your improper attention, because you are not careful. Right?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Next.
Geshe, there are 2 to 3 questions I have. First question is if someone is suffering and it is based on his or her karma, and why we can let them suffer, because anyway they are going to suffer.
Yeah.
Why are we going to help them?
Yeah,
and
I will try to apply this in your case.
Just but just
if you
anyway,
are suffering, I'll tell everybody it's his karma, don't help.
Yeah, because anyway he or she will suffer. okay, we are only going to get some good karmas out of helping. Means we are taking benefit of the opportunity.
You are very clever. You are taking advantage of even that suffering person.
Yes.
To a extent, yes, it looks right. But the motivation is not to take advantage. Motivation is simply to help that person. And then as a byproduct, of course, you get the result, positive result. Then, of course, as I said, that it may be the person's past life's karma. And it may be not just karma, as I mentioned to his question. It may be due to your, laziness or inattentiveness. And you can keep on asking that laziness, inattentiveness also because of karma, things like that, That is not true. That is not true. And the most important thing is when we talk about karma, we talk about karma only in relation to the human thinking, not with trees and rocks. We don't talk about karma of rock or karma of trees, right? So sometimes it may not necessarily be your karma, but due to some certain, unforeseen conditions, which can be avoided with the help of other people. Also, then if somebody helps, that helping is also because of your karma. If you have no karma, nobody will come to help you, if you think in that way, right?
There is another question.
Yeah.
If we are attached to the fruits of karma, is that also not an attachment?
That's attachment. That's definitely attachment.
We want to get good result of
Exactly.
the karma.
As the Bhagavad Gita says, do your work and leave the result to the God. So if you attach, that is wrong. Not being attached doesn't mean you will not get the result. You will get the result anyhow, right? So there's no need to get attached.
Okay.
Because if you get attached to it, then you get stuck there, right? Then you will not get freedom. If I give you, like, say, 10 rupees, if I give you 10 rupees, then expecting that you will give me 20 rupees, right? Expecting something, I have the attachment. Then you never give me the 20 rupees. Then maybe at least for many days I will be thinking, when he is going to give me 20 rupees? When he is going to give me 20 rupees? It's unnecessary suffering. Yeah.
And one last question.
Yeah.
There are these moral values that we should not steal and everything, but I feel these can only get good karma, but not liberation.
Huh?
But not liberation. This can give only good karmas.
Yeah, liberation.
But a liberated person will automatically understand that there is no point of stealing, there is no point of telling lie. So should we not focus on liberation rather than earning good karmas?
No. You just can't. Liberation is not an object on which you meditate and then you become enlightened. The path to liberation is positive karma. Therefore, the karma of collecting wisdom, compassion, all these things are needed, without which you will not attain it. Therefore, it is important to think about the causes and actions that leads to liberation. What was the other point that you mentioned?
Once a person is liberated,
Yeah.
he or she will understand there is no use of lying, there is no use of stealing.
Yeah, liberated.
So we
Once
should
you're
target on
I got-
liberation.
Yes,
rather
so
than-
once you are liberated, then of course automatically you will cease doing all these negative things. Automatically, you will not do any of these negative things. Now the other thing that you mentioned, which I was trying to answer was, not lying or not stealing will not liberate you. Something like that you mentioned. Will not liberate. When you will not liberate you has different meaning. One, just by not telling lie alone, you may not achieve liberation. But it contributes. Therefore, not stealing is important. Another, on a small level, liberation not necessarily the highest liberation, but some kind of freedom. If you don't steal, right away you get some kind of freedom. So some kind of freedom, liberation starts right from the moment when you start doing good things. Okay?
So I just wanted to ask, one hears of Tibetan monks in Chinese prisons who are tortured physically, and it is said that they're able to get through it in a way because they are advanced practitioners, or they're able to do it through meditation somehow, and also forgive the perpetrators, those people who tortured them. So how does that work? Because the pain is physical. But
Pain
how?
is physical, but depends on the level of your mental practice. If your level of mental practice is very strong, have you heard about this Vietnamese monk who self-immolated himself? Before this 160, 70 Tibetans who self-immolated, long before that there was a Vietnamese monk who self-immolated himself, and those cameramen and others who were present there, it said that his whole body was burning, but not even a part of his flesh is, what you call it, flinching? Flinching or something, not moving, So it's possible. And I have seen some of the Tibetans who self-immolated. Their mental determination is so strong that whole body is burning, but still they are running like that. So mental mind is really amazing. Mind is amazing. If you have the gut, the determination, can do anything. But of course need a lot of training, a lot of practice. Because the so-called fire, what is fire? Fire is something that burns you, right? Who said it burns you? Somebody give the designation, it will burn you. And we develop this fear. There's one reason that you are so fearful of fire, and fire can also easily hurt you. Because your mind is saying. Now that may sound stupid because you will say, oh, Geshe Lhakdor, this, no, anyway the fire will burn you. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. When we meet different people, I have this my personal experience. When I different people, some people without any rhyme and reason, when you meet this person for the first time, it looks, this person is really nasty. I have no reason why I think like that. Maybe his appearance or what you call as wife, something like that. But then later on, that person turns, when you spend more time, that person turns out to be very good. So your initial thinking that this person is really nasty and you get this bad vibe and affected is here, primarily here. So your mind can make a heaven a hell or hell a heaven. Your perspective is, after all, that's why we have spent so much time talking about having no inherent independent existence. The fire also has no inherent independent existence. Right? So therefore some of these Kadamba masters, they say, when they hear the word suffering, they make a mockery of it. They say, what? What is suffering? I have no idea what is suffering. So by this they are saying that it's your way of thinking. Your way of thinking. For somebody who doesn't like rain, if there is rain, they say, oh, hell with this weather, again raining. He feels unhappy. The same area, another person, oh, wonderful, rain comes. It's your perspective. A lot to do with your perspective. Right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Last question, huh?
Sir, what is responsibility do I carry towards collective suffering?
Huh?
What responsibility do I carry toward collective suffering?
Responsibility to remove collective suffering.
Yes.
To remove collective suffering.
Collective suffering.
Huh?
Collective suffering.
Collective suffering. So remove collective suffering, you have to work with group of people, not just yourself. You are talking about collective suffering. Collective suffering, to remove that collective suffering, the collective suffering is a result of collective karma. There is individual karma and collective karma. If, for example, if India does not do very well, going downhill, it's collective karma. Collective karma, because we are all not doing very well, not working very well, not sincere, engage in corruption, that's collective negative karma. The result is the whole country will go downhill. And collectively, likewise, if you collectively, do something positive, then collectively we'll all experience the fruit. There will be development, there will be progress. Okay? Thank you. Yeah.
As I think as all good things come to an end, today is the last day of Geshe-la's teaching, so I just wanted to take a moment and on behalf of the foundation, Mr. Rajiv Mehrotra, my colleagues, Tenzin Legman, Devendraji, Shriya, Satyam, I just wanted to thank Geshe-la from the core of our hearts for offering these teachings since the year 2007. It indeed seems like a futile attempt to really summarize the takeaways, because some of the things we've learned over these 5 evenings are beyond comprehension. But I believe these are teachings which will all work out when we walk out of these doors. And I believe what our community, a person from the community at the end spoke about, the responsibility to alleviate the community's suffering. Thank you, Geshe-la, for reminding us of that responsibility to truly seek human flourishing, to seek wisdom, to embody and practice compassion in each of our lives and in every act possible or any way possible. So thank you so much, Geshe-la, and thank you everyone who's joined us for these 5 evenings. We hope that we have many more of these teachings together. Thank you so much, and I would just request all of us to join here for a group picture at the end.